Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Israelite Advanced Bible Study for the 1st of November, 2022. I'm gonna be dealing with Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, and Hebrews and Negroes. There's a lot of stuff going on with that, right? Now in the media. I want to ask everybody to check out our videos on YouTube to Prophets of Awakening channel. There's a lot of information given, and the videos will connect dots for you and bring you into the truth of the Hebrew scriptures, the so-called Tanakh. If you understand the information that's being presented on the channel, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to Prophets of Awakening channel, and hit the notification button if you can. For those that don't know, it's a non-Messianic channel. We deal with Tanakh, which is so-called Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah, the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses on Mount Sinai. I want to say shalom and welcome to Prophets of Awakening, and welcome to our advanced Israelite Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, Psalms, and then we're going to do current events. And then we're a little need to know information, open up for some Q&A, then we're going to the discussion. Okay? This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts, my Redeemer, and Yahweh, our Creator, and all that they're doing to undo what was done to us some 2,500 years ago when we was scattered among the Gentiles and among our enemies. Okay? Oh Lord, we come before thee at this time, thanking you for your mercy and your great power. And we appreciate you, oh Lord, for your patience and your guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank you for awakening us to this great understanding of your word. We come before you that you keep us and direct us through the upcoming week. And oh Lord, there are trials and pestilences and mayhem at every turn now that we are coming into our deliverance. Oh Lord, we see your mighty hand in the world's affairs and how you are constructing your people's deliverance, and we trust and rely upon thee. And for this cause, we honor and respect you greatly. Turn not thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of you to find you, O Lord, and dwell with you. Peace be unto you. Okay? So with that being said, I'm gonna read a psalm. Okay? Okay. I'm gonna read Psalm 90. It's from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. It's a prayer of Moses, the man of God. Lord, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations. Before the mountains were brought forth, or ever thou hast formed the earth and the world, even from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. Thou turnest man to destruction, and saith, return ye children of men. For 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday when it is past, and as a watch in the night. Thou carried them away as a flood. They are as sheep, as they are as they sleep. In the morning, they are like grass which groweth up. In the morning, it flourishes and groweth up. In the evening, it is cut down and withered. For we are consumed by thine anger, and by thy wrath are we troubled. Thou hast set our enemies, our iniquities, before thee, our secret sins in the light of thy countenance. For all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. The days of our years are as 80 years and 10. And if by reason of thy strength they be 80 years, yet is their strength labor and sorrow, or is soon cut off, and we fly away. Who knoweth the power of thine anger, even according to thy fear? So is thy wrath. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts upon wisdom. Return, O Lord, how long, and let it repent thee concerning thy servants. Our, O satisfy us early with thy mercy, that we may rejoice and be glad all the days. Make us glad according to the days wherein thou hast afflicted us, and the years wherein we have seen evil. Let thy work appear unto thy servants, and thy glory unto their children. And let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Yea, the work of our hands establish thou it. So that's Psalm 90. It's from everlasting to everlasting, thou art God. It's just it's a prayer of Moses. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. So with that being said, we're going to go into the current events.
China will become the world's dominant superpower. They are aligning themselves with Russia in a very cozy relationship. If you ignore this, you will be ignoring this at your peril, because you need to pay attention to what's being heaped on you right now, which is an enormous amount of ridiculous propaganda that we're hearing about. The propagandists are telling us that China and Russia are about to invade the United States and they want a war with us. That's what the propagandists are telling us. Of course, I don't believe it for a minute. They don't want a war with the West. The West wants war with them. It's how they cling to power. It's how they hold on to the hegemony. The real war is economic, and Russia and China are winning, which I'll explain in a minute. We've got a whole lot of new data that we need to pay attention to that just came out this weekend. Now, the coming war with China likely won't be fought with massive armies. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Russia does actually want to take over Alaska and Canada, and China will take over the lower 48 states. And maybe it'll be like the 1980s movie Red Dawn, and I'll get a group of 10 people together. We'll call ourselves the Wolverines, and we'll head into the hills, and we'll fight the entire Russian army, and somehow we'll win. Yes, that was a real 1980s movie. 10 people defeated an invading Russian and Cuban army. I loved this movie as a kid. Yes, as a 12-year-old kid, but I'm slightly smarter than my 12-year-old self. And I don't believe that that is going to happen. Instead, all of the evidence right now points to the United States provoking both Russia and China simultaneously. Provoking Russia by moving NATO troops right to its doorstep. We got the word this weekend, of course, that the 101st Airborne Division is now deployed and ready for war.
They're America's go-to combat troops.
Go, 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 go.
The soldiers of the 101st Airborne Division, now the closest U.S. forces to the fight in Ukraine.
NATO got its wish and invaded Ukraine. That's exactly what happened. Former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi was caught on some leaked audio this week, admitting what everyone with a brain already knows, that the U.S. provoked a war in Ukraine. They funded and then pushed Ukraine to start attacking the Donbass. Bloomberg reporter Maria Tadeo has the transcript of this leaked audio. Quote, Berlusconi in hot water, she writes. This time around, caught on tape suggesting Putin gifted him vodka and wrote him a letter for his birthday, which he reciprocated. Then the audio adds, quote, I can't give my opinion on the war because it would be a disaster if it leaks to the media. That's what Berlusconi said. Go on. Can we hear some more? She continues. A second audio from Berlusconi has leaked in which he is heard saying Ukraine violated the Minsk deal. Zelensky tripled attacks on Donbass and pushed Putin to a special operation. It was supposed to last a week, but escalated after the West sent money and weapons. Woo. He's telling the truth here. Berlusconi goes on, says he'd rather not say out loud what he thinks about Zelensky. And then he continues, I don't see how Putin and Zelensky can talk unless there's an intervention. The war won't end. Worth noting that this is a private conversation where Berlusconi asks for maximum discretion, she writes. Of course, he's telling the truth. He thinks it's in private, admitting the US and NATO pushed Russia to war. We all know that. The only way this ends is with the United States pushing Ukraine back to the peace table. But they have no appetite for that because this is all about American power and American hegemony, the US dollar. Heck, we have just an admission this weekend from General Mark Milley, the guy who looks like he's answered a casting call for guys that look like generals who have giant heads and no neck.
Just in Ukraine's interest. It is in the global interest to protect, as the Secretary pointed out, the rules-based international order. And that is our purpose that has been given to us, the uniformed military, from our civilian leadership, which is to uphold the rules-based international order that was established some 80 years ago at the conclusion of World War II.
So John Goodman lookalike General Milley just admitted the truth, which is about the U.S. retaining power. Now, if Ukraine falls, then the WEF and the New World Order will collapse. It's not about Ukraine, and it's not about Taiwan. It's about pretending that we care about a rules-based international order. And all that means, really, is that the United States gets to do whatever it wants, threatening American force unless you use the American dollar as your reserve currency. That's the real reason we provoked a war with Russia. And it's the very same reason we're provoking a war with China over Taiwan. It's the same reason we blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. It's all about retaining American power, which is slipping away right before our eyes. Now, Western propaganda about China and Russia tells us that China and Russia want to attack the United States, to take over our lands. I heard a lot of this propaganda last week. Don't fall for it. The truth is, China doesn't want to have anything to do with a conventional war. They have expanded economically in ways the United States and Europe cannot even come close to competing with. And a war would be a major inconvenience for China. China absolutely wants to regain control of Taiwan. Now, remember, Taiwan is a part of China. It is China. And the United States says that Taiwan is a part of China. The U.S. supports a one China policy, even if senile Joe Biden says he'll send American men and women to Taiwan to die. That is a war the U.S. cannot win. The U.S. can't even win a war against guys on camels in Afghanistan after 20 years and $3 trillion spent. Heck, they didn't even have an air force. And Biden thinks we could travel thousands of miles by ships and beat China. Colonel Douglas McGregor thinks China could withstand anything that we throw at it. Of course, he's right. The real story is economic warfare, the slow, methodical takeover of the U.S. dollar as a reserve currency. And most people aren't even ready for what's coming in a few weeks when China puts boots on the ground in Taiwan. And yes, that is happening and will likely happen before the end of the year. Could be just in a few weeks or closer to the end of the year. And no amount of Wolverines are going to stop it with bullets. Let's look at some of the stunning data points this week. Now, if you're in the West, you better pay attention and prepare because it's going to be devastating. This week, we saw an end of the U.S. dollar rally. This was a big moment. Didn't get a lot of press coverage. Silver and gold experts, though, I've been talking with, agree that the outside reversal in the U.S. dollar index is troubling, which means inflation is about to get a whole lot worse in the United States. Now, if you're Nancy Pelosi, when asked about inflation yesterday, here is her solution. Just change the subject, she says.
And
this new drug-free toenail fungus treatment is destroying.
And the fact is that when I hear people talk about inflation, as I heard him there, we have to change that subject. Inflation is a global phenomenon. Yes. The EU, the European Union, the UK, the British have higher inflation rate than we do here.
That's right. We have to change the subject. That's the best way to deal with the problem. By the way, I love the CBS anchor saying, yes, you're right. Ignore it. Maybe it'll go away. Now, the U.S. dollar has been seen as a safe haven, right? It's been record highs lately. But what happens when it's not safe any longer? We're about to find out. So just watch. It's happening right now. Bob Moriarty says the debt-based economy in the United States is collapsing.
You need to have cash. You need to have food. You need to keep your car fueled. You need to talk to your children, okay? The banking system is going to fail. The credit card system is going to fail. And you need to sit and think about it and say, what do I do to protect my family, my children, my neighborhood? because that time is not only coming, it's coming very, very quickly.
So just how bad is this debt? Well, Peter Schiff says at the rate the national debt and interest rates are rising before the decade ends, interest on the national debt will exceed 100% of federal tax revenue. The entire federal government would then consist of the Treasury Department, which would then just collect taxes and pay interest. Wow. Now, Silvershares disagrees and says, hey, that's a bit bleak and unrealistic, Peter. I think that what they will do is simply inflate the debt down to a manageable level while reducing everyone's standard of living, except for the very rich, who will find ways to game the system and even get richer. Okay, so in this scenario, only the rich survive because that's how it always goes. So maybe it's not as bleak as Peter is making it out to be based on the data, but the way that Silvershares paints it, well, no one's going to survive and only the rich will. Okay, so it's all bad. And right now, the U.S. is pushing more sanctions on China. But it won't matter because the rich companies do too much business with China, and they're never going to stop doing business with China. Just listen to Vivek Ramaswamy, who wrote one of my favorite books of last year that I read called Woke Incorporated. This is what Vivek said on Friday. Watch.
And you can mark my words. The 300 plus companies that ceremoniously cut their ties with Russia when Vladimir Putin made his move on Ukraine will not say a word to condemn China as Xi Jinping goes for Taiwan. And I believe this weekend's milestone starts the clock on when he might do that.
He's right. So these big businesses will continue to do business in China. Now, if you take nothing else away from this video, I want you to protect your family away from debt investments, debt-based investments, and those 401k-based retirement plans. Look, I'm not a financial planner. I can't tell you what to do. All I'm saying is the writing is on the wall. If you don't have gold, silver, precious metals, you are going to be left in the dust as this recession unfolds. That's why our friends at Tierlock Resources wanted to sponsor today's video. They are a company that pulls one of the most important minerals out of the ground, lithium. Now, Tierlock is primed to become the leading lithium company in North America because no one else is doing what they're doing. So here's their stock ticker on 261%. So you see what's happening here, like smart investment in precious minerals and the absolute demand. And this chart right now, the stock is only trading this morning at 94 cents a share Canadian at the time of this filming. So just so you understand, China and Russia have been putting their combined focus on these precious minerals, pulling them out of the ground, and the U.S. is way behind in all of this. And Tierlock has access to a pipeline of high-quality lithium projects, both locally and internationally. They have properties in Ontario where multiple successive lithium discoveries have been made.
Okay. Yeah. So anybody got any comments on that? Saying that for you to get ready because they haven't China gonna make a run for Taiwan before the close of the year. But we already been saying that because we know they're doing a 1-2 punch to bring the dollar down and bring the West down. So we know it's gonna happen. And not only that, it's in the book of it's in Second Ezra that he had two little wings reserved for the very end, for the end of the eagle. Okay. Shalom. Okay. So yeah. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and start going in on this Kyrie Irving and Kanye West thing in Hebrew Israelites. I don't know if anybody been seeing the fallout on it, but I'm gonna dive into it right here with this video right here. Let me get it. Okay.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. I want to share this video. Another brother under attack, Kyrie Irving. Check this video out, and I'll be back.
And it's a title given to Christ, Philippians 2:11. And my name translates in the Hebrew language as Yahweh. So I went on to Amazon Prime. I was like, you know what? Let me see if there are any documentaries on Yahweh. So went in the search bar, typed in Yahweh. That came up. Went out and shared it on my platform. That was my night. And I'm not a divisive person when it comes to religion. I embrace all walks of life. You see it on all my platforms. I talk to all races, all cultures, all religions. And my response would be, it's not about educating yourself on what Semitism is and what anti-Semitism is. It's really about learning the root words of where these come from and understanding that this is an African heritage that is also belonging to the people. Africa is in it, whether we want to dismiss it or not. So the claims of anti-Semitism and who are the original chosen people of God, and we go into these religious conversations and it's a big no-no. I don't live my way like that. I don't live my life that way. Excuse me. I grew up in a melting pot, and I say a melting pot of all races, white, black, red, yellow, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, and you can see the way I live my life now. I'm not here to be divisive, so they could push their agenda. I don't want to say they, because I'm not identifying any one group or race of people, but I'm in a unique position to have a level of influence on my community. And what I post does not mean that I support everything that's being said or everything that's being done, or I'm campaigning for anything. All I do is post things for my people in my community and those that it's actually going to impact. Anybody else that has criticism, and obviously wasn't meant for them.
Hopefully I'm understanding what you said, and I want to make sure I get it right because I don't want to misquote it.
I don't expect understanding.
Why do so many folks over 40 with
conglomerate group that sincerely talks about the game of basketball, and then we bring up religion as if it's correlative at times when it's convenient for people to bring it up. So please just be direct with your question, so we can move on from this and I can talk about the game and go home to my son Elohim and my wife Marlene. Okay.
Am I to take it that this was what you shared was not something that you've even watched? This was you did watch it, or either watch it or read it.
I had a lot of time last year to read a lot, read a whole bunch, good and bad, about the truth of our world.
So then do you, I guess, understand or not understand those that might imply that that work had anti-Semitic leanings in it? I only ask this because the tweet is still up there, so we're
in 2022. It's on Amazon, a public platform. Whether you want to go watch it or not is up to you. There's things being posted every day. I'm no different than the next human being, so don't treat me any different. You guys come in here and make up this powerful influence I have over top of the adultery of, oh, you cannot post that. Why not? Why not? I don't hear uproar of that. I'm not here to be divisive on what's going on this or that. I'm not comparing Jews to blacks. I'm not comparing white to black. I'm not doing that. That conversation is dismissive, and it constantly revolves around the rhetoric of who are the chosen people of God. And I'm not here to argue over a person or a culture or religion or what they believe. No, this is what is here. It's on a public platform. Did I do anything illegal? Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Did I do anything illegal? Did I hurt anybody? Did I harm anybody? Am I going out and saying that I hate one specific group of people? So out of all the judgment that people got from me posting, I just, without talking to me, and then I respect what Joe said, but there has a lot to do with the not ego or pride of how proud I am to be an African heritage, but also to be living as a free black man here in America, knowing the historical complexities for me to get here. So I'm not going to stand down on anything that I believe in. I'm only going to get stronger because I'm not alone. I have a whole army around me.
What do you think? Now, here it is that they want to get you now by having guilt by association. That if you watch a movie and you make a comment or you tell people, check out a movie with some information, that they want to tie you or put you in a corner as though that you're promoting something that they want to go ahead and label as hate. But when you look into it, what is really considered to be hate? You see Kanye West, Kyrie Irving, Nick Cannon, whether it's other people who are black folks that are mentioning of things of who is Jews or what is the reality or the truth of people being part of the children of Israel. They're trying to use it as means of hate speech. Is this really the direction we're going? If you don't think that this has consequences, repercussions on a people as a whole, if this does not sound as though that they're trying to make examples out of those in order to show that you better remain silent, isn't this even imposing on people's freedom of speech? That they would rather, the media, these evil reporters that try to question you as though everybody's asking the question, but their agenda is to put you in a place of silence or to try to spawn a following of people to hit on their emotions as though that you are a hater. This is nothing more than just tactics, again, by a system that will get you to remain silent, to zip your lip, not speak a truth. You think about it. Kanye West bank account was shut down. Social media taken. This is the door to something called the New World Order. If you're not seeing now that your money sitting in a bank can be shut up, closed down, that they can take your life basically of away in a sense of your means of supporting your lifestyle.
Okay. Any comments on that? Anybody familiar with what's going on with Kyrie Irving and Kanye West? You heard anything on YouTube or on the news? Okay, let me give you a little breakdown. Over the weekend, the last week maybe, Kanye West came out and he had some remarks about the people that's over in the land, Israel, and saying that he was going to go, DEFCON 3 on him or whatever, and all hell broke loose for him. And I think it was Friday night, or maybe Saturday or something, that Kyrie Irving posted after one of his games. He posted on his YouTube platform the book Hebrews the Negroes, and recommended people to to get it or whatever. And so that just went, the media jumped all over it, the news media and everybody jumped all over it. So they looking for they pretty much to bankrupt trying to bankrupt Kanye West, and they trying to put restrictions or fines on Kyrie Irving. But the thing about it is that those events escalated the attention on this topic. It's off the roof now because it's like right out there because everybody's starting to search out what's being said, why it's being said, or why is Kanye willing to put everything on the line that he's doing behind it. So it's out there. You might want to do some research on it, check it out. But that's what's going on right now. Like I said, it's when you look at it, it's only the Yahweh and Lord of Hosts working their jelly, bringing this thing to an end and concluding these prophecies that's been prophesied long ago in the Old Testament. It's coming to a head. And like the video I played, like I was saying, you gotta see all that, and you gotta start making some moves, preparing yourself, because it's getting hectic. It already got hectic, but it's gonna get real hectic because they never seen a person like, they never seen the type of guys that's coming on the scene now. These celebrities and athletes, they ain't backing down. So, and like I said, because they're not backing down, it's bringing a lot of attention to this situation we're coming about who the real Israelites are. So like I said, it's gonna get real ugly, like the guy was saying, real fast. So, like I was saying, I'm gonna deal with. I just showed you a video on Kyrie Irving, and after the next day, they came out, and after we came out from the game, they asked the question. Some of these so-called news reporters asked him a bunch of questions, and so he was answering them, and they were trying to get him to back him up in the corner, but he wasn't going for it. Okay. Right. Yeah, he picked up on the name. He picked up on the name Yahweh and Elohim. He was saying how that he started looking up his name in Hebrew, and his name in Hebrew he discovered meant Yahweh. So he went and when he found that out, he went and started, doing some research on it. So yeah, but like I said, it started a firestorm. Let's look at this right here. So like I said, I showed you that on Kyrie Irving. I'm gonna play this right here, and show you some of the fallout from what Kanye did. Okay. Okay. This Kanye interview. Let me see if it's coming up in a minute.
Piers Morgan Uncensored. My first question for you, I guess, is an obvious one. What do you hope to achieve from our conversation?
That right there, being uncensored. In American media, it's very censored. It feels like an episode of Black Mirror a lot of times. So I've put myself across the line, the point of no return, saying, hey, I know they're going to say whatever they want about me. When I bring up the truth, they're going to say, you didn't get enough sleep. It's because of your health. They're going to call me names for my truth. But these experiences that I'm telling you about are factually things that I've went through and things that I refuse to keep going through and things that I'm not going to let my children go through and things that I'm not going to let my peers go through. No pun intended.
Well, look, we are most certainly uncensored on this show, and I want to give you the time and the platform to really explain yourself, because I think that sometimes sound bites about people, perhaps taken out of context sometimes, can create a very distorted view of what a person really thinks. What do you think, looking back over the last few weeks in particular, what do you think have been the biggest misconceptions about you?
Well, I think there's a left agenda to silence anyone that goes against the agenda. Let's go back to Trump running for office back in 2015 everyone that was around me in my industry, in the entertainment industry, told me that my life would be over. I would be on the wrong side of history. I've even had threats to my life for wearing the Trump hat. And it even ended up in, destroying my family, and also making it where I have to raise my children differently, because I actually am a person that's classified as Black. I classify myself as Jew, but a person that's classified that had been given that title in America as Black, in America, that I'm supposed to stay in a block of a vote. You never heard the term white vote. So why is there a term Black vote? How is that okay? It sounds just as racist as a Black drinking fountain. And my dad, called me and said, the thing that the left fear about Ye, or makes me the most dangerous, is I'm rich. And that's the point. Tupac told me back in the days, you had to get your money right, and then you go to war. So I'm going to war. I don't have endless resources. I only have like maybe, honestly, only maybe $120 million in my account. But what I'm not going to let happen is I'm not going to let my kids take over Yeezy someday and have a boardroom telling them what to do and talking behind their back. I'm not going to let that happen to my children. So I have to fight right now. And the other powerful icons in Black music, when they were at the top of the game, they didn't fight at that point. They were too afraid of losing whatever they had. So by the time they wanted to make a difference, by the time Bill Cosby wanted to buy NBC, he didn't have the Cosby Show at that time to be able to stand up when they wanted to literally throw him in jail, where they actually did throw him in jail. So people have to understand just the bravery. There's so many people everywhere. I know everyone can relate to being afraid to say what you're going to feel because you feel like you're going to lose something. So whether you agree with me or not, I believe people are going to feel the fact that someone is brave enough to say something. Every day I do 5 things that people have been historically killed for. Every day. And it's just, I want to prove, first of all, I am Jew also. The 12 lost tribes of Hebrew. Do the math. Do your research on it. We have got our culture ripped from us and then told we were just simply void of color, which is another definition for Black. But if we knew we were a culture and knew we were a people, the way the Jewish people know, then we wouldn't abort ourselves. We wouldn't shoot each other dead in the streets and then rap about it. We wouldn't brag about, having sex with each other's wives. We would keep our families together and we would do business together. The most dangerous place for a Black person in America is actually in our mother's stomachs, because 50% of Black deaths a year in America is abortion currently. I mean, I can keep going, but I want to make it, hey, boom, ask me questions, let's go.
I don't want to jump in too much, because here's what I honestly think. I think you have an extraordinary mind. You have a number of extraordinary talents. You're a musical genius. You're a fascinating public figure. What has been interesting to me is to watch the furore which has erupted in the last few weeks over a series of statements that you've made, which have caused, as you know, a lot of offense. And I guess before I get into them, I'm just curious as to whether you think there is a line for free speech. I completely agree with you that there is a war against free speech, that people are, treading on eggshells all the time, terrified of expressing honestly held opinions in case they get cancelled. I think we're living in a really insidious era where liberals are behaving like fascists. So on that, you have absolutely my agreement. But my question for you is, do you believe there are limits to free speech? And if they are, what are they?
There are no limits to free speech. It's all context, right? Tarantino can write a movie about slavery where actually him and Jamie, they got the idea from me because the idea for Django, I pitched to Jamie Foxx and Quentin Tarantino as the video for Gold Digger. And then Tarantino turned it into a film. But in that film, he puts a context, he creates a context where Leonardo DiCaprio is allowed to use the word multiple times within that context. So Hollywood's job is to frame things, and they allow what context, what content is accepted and what's not. We have our thoughts. You know, everyone has thoughts and ideas, and then people try to manipulate your thoughts and ideas. In order for humanity to move forward, we have to be free to think and then to actualize. I like the word actualize better than execute. If you think about execute's a negative word, actualize to be more positive, except for the fact that it has the word act in it, and everyone's an actor, especially in Hollywood. I'm like top 5 writers in human history, so I really get into the power of words, and I feel very akin to Capote, Freud, Nikola Tesla, Da Vinci, Matisse, more Matisse than Picasso, more African cubism than Matisse. So I just do that. I throw out that kind of for the liberals. And that's the funny thing. It's like liberals.
Let me hold you up on that. On Matisse,
Yeah,
when you say you're more Matisse than Picasso, as somebody who's a fan of Matisse and Picasso, actually, I spent a lot of time in Saint-Tropez where they all used to paint together. Why do you say Matisse? What is it about Matisse that you feel an affinity with?
I feel like Drake is more Picasso and Ye is more Matisse. When we talked about, when me and Drake went to do the show last year.
Black business person doing it all the time, that people don't phrase it all the time by the color of your skin, but by your business acumen. Isn't that what you would like? Isn't that what equality actually means?
Of course I'll be judged by that, because when people come into power, people get judged. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nobody that gets judged more than a straight white male. The straight white male has the least amount of a platform to even speak. A straight white male can't say, my wife hurt me today, and because people will say, well, you're hurting women. A straight white male can't say, hey, a black employee didn't come in to work on time, because then people will say you're racist. A straight white male can't speak on a homosexual person because they'll say you're homophobic. And so I empathize with the position of the straight white male. And part of the reason why I empathize with that position is because I know that I'm headed to that position. And what position that is? Top power position.
Okay.
That's the top power position, where you get all the rocks thrown. And that's the thing. I have friends, right, that will, like, you know, actually that's the reason why I'm going to be a good leader someday, because I'm really empathetic. But I call Black people out on their stuff. I call white people out on their stuff, because we're all people. We're actually only one species. And in order to, whether it's my friends texting me like, bro, you got to get in the gym, you're looking chubby in the photo, you know, it's like we have to hold each other accountable to what's actually happening. And it's so much is based on you did that tweet wrong. So what I will say is, I feel that my words demand more sensitivity for the frequency that I'm operating at, and and the amount of people that I'm communicating to. And I take that responsibility right now. But I will also say everything happens for a reason, because if it had been perfectly worded in English, and because there's nothing whiter than English itself, right? I'm already not speaking in my mother tongue, right? So if I had perfectly worded it in the most sensitive way, then we wouldn't be here right now. Now we're opening up the conversation. Like, I'm not allowed to say whether or not I'm running for office in 2024, but I tell you what, if the left, let's say the left would have never supported me anyway. And now I've got to call to attention, I am who you should support. The left did not allow Trump to be president. They treated him like he wasn't even the president. So even then he won, he was losing half of the American people every day, and it divided the country. What I'm saying, whoever goes into office, for British media, for American media, we must support our leaders and not just run this hyper negative. You know what I will, and Black people hate when I apologize for this. When I see people like John Legend and Chrissy Teigen talk down on the president, I'm like, wow, that kind of sounds like me. That kind of sounds like the telethon. I opened up this level of disrespect towards our leaders, and people were happy. And the left publicly being based on an audience of one. And Pierce, what audience do you think I'm saying that is? That is?
Well, you.
No, not me. For us as Christians, right? Who is our audience? We have an audience of one.
Well, you mean God?
God. So picture this world, envision this world. Here's another one. This is past this is past what I'm saying about having the heads of the.
Okay, anybody got any comments on that? What they heard? Okay, you can play this. John Left Foundation.
One is Kanye West, whose recent anti-Semitic comments have caused public outrage. This morning, Adidas, which helped make the rapper's Yeezy shoe and clothing line a multi-billion-dollar business, severed ties with him. A major blow to his brand and bottom line, putting his career in jeopardy. The company's decision comes just a few days after Ye taunted Adidas on the Drink Champs podcast.
I could say anti-Semitic things and Adidas can't drop me. Now what? Now what?
Adidas' decision caused Ye to lose $1.5 billion in net worth in one day.
Corporations just don't want to touch and engage and be in partnership with someone who spews such anti-Semitic rhetoric and ideology that is coming forward. So as a result, I don't know where Kanye West goes in terms of building corporate partnerships from here.
Earlier this month, Ye was suspended from Twitter, where he has millions of followers after tweeting that he was going to go, quote, DEFCON 3 on Jews.
Exactly what our culture is based on.
Around the same time, unaired clips of Ye's interview with Fox's Tucker Carlson, obtained by Vice News, made rounds on the internet. In one, he plays off a false anti-Semitic belief that Jews control the world's financial system.
I prefer my kids knew Hanukkah than Kwanzaa. At least it will come with some financial engineering.
The tricky thing about anti-Semitism for a lot of people is that it is subtle and insidious by design.
He has repeatedly invoked a series of hateful and vicious stereotypes against Jewish people, and he has engaged in the kind of rhetoric that can lead to real-world violence.
This past weekend, members of a neo-Nazi group unfurled banners above the 405 freeway in Los Angeles, one of the nation's busiest highways. Other images show the demonstrations giving the Nazi salute.
I think we are seeing a spike in anti-Semitism, or at least a rise. This often happens at times of great tension in our society. Right? Blame the Jews, not whoever's in power.
According to the Anti-Defamation League, anti-Semitic incidents hit an all-time high in 2021. More than 2,700 cases of assault, harassment, and vandalism, up 34% from 2020.
In this moment, in this context where the Jewish community feels vulnerable, to see someone like Kanye West knowingly and intentionally increasing that vulnerability, it is inexcusable.
Adidas saying in part today, it, quote, does not tolerate anti-Semitism and any other sort of hate speech. Ye's recent comments and actions have been unacceptable, hateful, and dangerous, and they violate the company's values. The World Jewish Congress applauded Adidas' action, but not its 2-week delay, saying in a statement the company's history is not disconnected from the dangers of anti-Semitism. During World War II, its factories produced supplies and weapons for the Nazi regime. Many of Ye's other business partners acted swiftly in the wake of his anti-Semitic remarks. Talent agency CAA dropped him as a client. Fashion house Balenciaga ended their partnership with him. Some celebrities like John Legend, Jamie Lee Curtis, Reese Witherspoon are also speaking out and condemning Ye's rhetoric. Ye's ex-wife, Kim Kardashian, with whom he has 4 children, also posting, hate speech is never okay or excusable. I stand together with the Jewish community and call on the terrible violence and hateful rhetoric towards them to come to an immediate end.
You know, there is a sense of sadness and tragedy when you think about individuals who have known him for so long, for somebody to evolve in ideology to a place and space where he is now.
Anti-Semitism has been increasing over the last number of years, from Jews will not replace us to gunning us down in synagogue while we are praying. Jews are really scared.
Seeing people like Kanye openly speak anti-Semitic tropes or continue to spread anti-Semitism, it makes me disappointed. Sit in the chair here, right there.
In New Jersey, 17-year-old Aaron Goodman is using new media to tell this old and terrifying story.
How does being a Holocaust survivor affect you today?
I'm very upset about the anti-Semitism.
I've been running this TikTok for about a year, and over this year I've amassed 450 to 500,000 followers and over 50 million views.
Tattooing was just a way to keep track of us.
This one-on-one interaction with the survivor is hard to find.
That's my first picture when I came back.
That survivor is...
Okay. Anybody got any comments on what they heard so far? Okay. Shalom. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? What they heard? Okay, yeah. So I was going over all this stuff and watching and looking at it, watching how it's unfolding, and seeing the Lord of hosts in it, and then I came across this video right here. I think IUIC is trying to came in and kind of gave a helping hand to Kanye. I'm gonna play it, a little bit of it, see if I can get some feedback. Okay.
No proof. He's just spewing it out of his mouth. So we could go to some scriptures and some historical books to see if what Kanye is saying is true for his fans. And even if you're not a fan of Kanye, maybe you can glean something from this, from real Jew proof for Kanye fans. Give me that in 2 Timothy chapter 2, and let's read verse 15.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15.
Call it again for him.
2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15.
Yep.
Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Rightly dividing the word of truth. Is that it on that?
Yes, sir.
So you gotta study to show yourself approved so you're able to rightly divide the word of truth, because without studying the word, what you will do is you will base your opinions on emotions. It won't be based on facts. It will all be based on emotions, because you have not actually studied the word to show yourself approved to God. I almost forgot too. I got to my right over here, I've got who we got?
Officer Pagiel.
Got Officer Pagiel, and to my left,
Officer Azaniah.
You got Officer Azaniah. Okay, all right. So they here with me. But if you do not study to show yourself approved, your opinions will be based on emotion and not facts, right? And you'll be swayed by society and by media, depending on what era you grew up in or where you live at on the planet. So you got to study the word of God to make sure what you are speaking and what you are saying on behalf of God is factual. Give me that in Job chapter 8, verse 8. Job chapter 8, verse 8.
The book of Job, chapter 8 and verse 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
So the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we have to search. Basically, that's the root word of what? Research. We have to research our history. Why? Because of the history that has plagued us as a people, which is known as slavery. In slavery, where we was oppressed and not able to read, our history was fed to us. We were made to believe things that were not actually factual. Things like black people, you're Africans, you're 3/5 of a man, or you are inferior to all races, you're the cursed people of Ham. All of these things were fed to us in history. Our true history has been suppressed and it's been hidden by the powers that be. But God is doing a marvelous thing in these last days where he is now opening up the floodgates of our history to us, making it easily accessible and at our fingertips just by going on YouTube and watching this video or Google it or actually reading the Bible yourself. Hell, it's on your phone. But we have to do the research ourselves as a people because our true history has been suppressed. Give me that in Psalms 83. Watch this. Psalms chapter 83. And I want you to start. We'll start at verse 1 on this.
Psalms chapter 83 and verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
So everybody does not love God. He has enemies upon the earth. That's what David is saying in the spirit. God has enemies, and those that hate him have lifted up their head against them as in a proud stance, like we have overcome you. We have defied you. They lifted up their head against God. And how did they do that, though? Keep reading.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
When you research your history, when you research your history, you're going to find out that there has been a group of people upon the earth that has taken crafty counsel against the people of God because they could not reach him. So they took crafty counsel against his people, and they've been doing it for centuries. This ain't new, nothing new on the earth. When David was saying this, he was prophesying of when the kingdom would fall, of how things would be of the chosen people of God. Give me that in Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 26. Let's read that real quick and see what it say.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 26.
Let me see. Go ahead.
I said, I would scatter them into corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease from among men.
So how was the crafty counsel taking place? It was to the remembrance of us has ceased from the earth. The true knowledge of who the blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians are on the earth, it has been hidden. It has ceased from the earth. It's no longer there. You don't recognize us as a people. The real Jews' remembrance is gone from the earth. But you got to ask yourself, if God said he would make the remembrance of them to cease from among man, how would that come about to play out on the earth? How would that happen? God didn't just snap his fingers and make everybody forget like Spider-Man No Way Home. That ain't how it went down. It was a series of things that happened to make the remembrance of God's people to cease from the earth. Give me that in 2nd Maccabees. We're going to go into it. 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, and I want you to read verse 6.
2nd Maccabees chapter 6 and verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts.
So this is during the times of the Greeks. This is 333 BC and on down to where we are today. Read on.
Or to profess himself at all to be a Jew.
So how did the remembrance of man, of the Israelites, begin to cease from the earth? When the white man.
Yeah, I want to shine a light on that before we go any further. Shalom. Okay, so I was telling you the other day when we was dealing with the books that was taken out of the scriptures. You see where he's at. He's in Maccabees, and I was showing you how that the Bel and the Dragon, right? Susanna, all this is in the Apocrypha, and 1st, 2nd Maccabees, 3rd and 4th Maccabees. That's all out of Daniel. They put other names on them, but what he's showing you right here is when we lost our identity. It was during the time of the Greeks, and that's what Daniel was telling you in chapter 8. He says that the king of fierce countenance, understanding dark cylinders, at the end of the 3rd beast came and destroyed the temple, and all that history is in there. That's what Daniel's talking about. But we don't have none of the information or how to understanding where to get it at. It's all in the Maccabees. Everything that Daniel prophesied about came to pass during the time of the Maccabees. But because they didn't took that out, they got you going to the New Testament to get it. But it's in Maccabees. So I stopped it for that reason. So what he's saying now, you're going to see that it all took place. Daniel prophesied about it. Okay.
And came into power, known as the Greeks, he stopped letting the Israelites, the real Jews, call themselves Jews. They could no longer call themselves that. They had to be known as what? Ephesians, Corinthians, Romans, Philippians. They had to go by these things because what would happen? Let's jump down to verse 8.
Verse 8. Moreover, there went out a decree to the neighbor cities of the heathen by the suggestion of Ptolemy.
A Greek king. Go ahead.
Against the Jews.
Against the Jews.
That they should observe the same fashions and be partakers of their sacrifices.
So this is how the remembrance of the real Jews ceased from the earth. This is how they consulted together. Don't let them call themselves Jews anymore, and they have to partake in the same way of living that we do. So what does that mean? That means that the real Jews had to start worshiping Zeus, Athena, Diana, Wonder Woman. Diana. They had to start doing those things. Oh, because if they did not, what would happen? Keep reading.
And whoso would not conform themselves to the manner of the Gentiles should be put to death.
If they did not assimilate to the ways of the Greeks, which later became the Romans, we all know the history of the Greco-Roman era, they were put to death. Keep reading.
Then might a man have seen the present misery.
Now let's go back chapter, 1st Maccabees chapter 1. Let's go to 1st Maccabees chapter 1 and let's read verse 41 now.
1st Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom.
Another Greek king. He wrote to his whole kingdom. The Greeks ruled all of the eastern known world during their time. Read on.
That all should be one people.
The decree was that they should what?
Be one people.
What is America's Pledge of Allegiance? I remember it like it was yesterday when they made us stand up, put our hands over our heart, and they said, one nation under God, indivisible. What did that mean? Indivisible. That means that you would be one people with the ways of America. And we all know the Americans are the descendants of the Romans and the Greeks. As Kanye fans, I expect you to have a little bit of knowledge because you have followed the guy that had albums called what? College Dropout, Graduation, Late Registration. So I expect you to have a little bit of historical sense. We all know that when it says one nation under God, indivisible, that means that they are telling you to be one people, just like the Greeks did. Let's read that again.
Verse 42. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Everyone should leave his laws means that everyone should leave their way of life and follow after the customs of the Greeks. Read on.
Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
They consented to his way of life. Their names began to be forgotten. They began to be hidden in the earth. Keep reading.
And sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Read on.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts.
These are the ways and the customs of the Gentiles, of the heathen, of the Greeks that we're reading right now, that they made the Israelites, the real Jews, do these things. Keep reading. Exactly right. So, and you know what else we have forgotten, where we have been cut off and our name is no longer in remembrance? We even forgot that we were Semitic. We forgot that we were Semitic people. We have no idea of that. Watch this, y'all, because this is real Jew proof for Kanye fans. Pull up the image of Abba Eben. Pull up the first one that we got up there. So that's Abba Eben, right? Now, Abba stands for Father Eben. Let's pull up the article of what Abba Eben looks like. Oh, scroll that down. Abba Eben. Okay, so we see what Abba Solomon Meir Eben looks like. I want you to scroll down a little bit and go to early life right there. Go ahead and read that early life.
Eben was born in Cape Town, South Africa. On February 2nd, 1915, to Lithuanian Jewish parents.
He was born to Lithuanian Jewish parents. So he is a what you would call Jewish. Both his parents were Jewish, right? Okay. So let's go to the book that Abba Eben wrote. Let's pull it up. Read that. What's it called?
Heritage, Civilization, and the Jews.
So Abba Eben, born to Jewish parents, wrote a book called Civilization and the Jews. So let's see what these Semitic people look like that Abba Eben, who we clearly just saw what he looks like. Let's see what the Semitic people look like in the Civilization and the Jews. Let's see. Oh.
Wait a minute.
Those look like brown, what you would call black people today. They look nothing like Jewish people. They look nothing like Abba Eben, who was born to Jewish parents. And let's see what that, read up underneath of that, what it says.
The expulsion of the Hyksos may have marked the end of Hebrew power in Egypt and the beginning of the descent into bondage. Here, a Semite.
A what?
A Semite humbles himself in an Egyptian tomb painting.
A Semite. A brown, what you would call black Semite. look like Kanye. Okay, go ahead. What you gonna say?
And you know what's crazy? It shows you how the Egyptians like the same skin color as the Hebrews.
Yeah.
So therefore, if anybody like to say the Egyptians were black, therefore you have to confirm that the Hebrews also are black.
Right. We're gonna get some more in that. Go to the other image. There should be another one. Okay, let's see what those people, who they are. Let's read that on the side.
And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. Exodus chapter 1 and verse 13 to 14. Semitic captives
are what?
Are shown in this ancient Egyptian painting.
Semitics that are brown, what you call black today. So how is it that if so-called black people saying they are Semitic is anti-Semitism when we see black Semitics in the book that a Jewish man wrote?
Okay, any comments on that? But what I'm gonna do is that these videos I'm playing, I'm gonna put them on Messenger later on. I mean, after I get off the task, I can't play all of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to, you know, ruffle no feathers. So, anybody got any comments on that? No comment. Okay. Like I said, this went to another level because of people that's involved. Like I said, Kanye West and Kyrie Irving, their little attention that they hold being that they celebrities and they coming out talking about this. So now it's bringing more and more attention to it. So like I said, the thing is escalated. So I'm gonna play this right here. Kyrie Irving had posted, like I said the other night, he posted the book Hebrews Negroes, and it caused you know, they went bonkers because of that. So I'm gonna play a little bit of what Kyrie Irving, Ron Dalton had to say about it. He's the author of Hebrews Negro. Okay.
The African diaspora to come back home and bringing and showing us her true roots. You know, I just want to thank you. I had to buy it, and I just started reading it. It's an amazing book. So much evidence, so much proof. You're literally a dictionary. You know, you're a walking dictionary. You know, and yeah, man, I'm happy to have this book, and I just wanted to thank you. Oh, Ron.
Shalom, shalom. It's Ron Dalton Jr. here. Give you guys a special announcement on October the 19th, 2022 at 8 p.m. USA Eastern Time. I'm going to be conducting a Zoom webinar. The topic is going to be, is it now time to start planning and preparing to leave America for Africa? Again, the Zoom webinar is going to be on October the 19th, 2022, 8 p.m. USA Eastern Time. The topic is going to be, is it now time to start planning and preparing to leave America for Africa? Again, this is another Zoom webinar that's happening.
Bro, this shit is a movie script. Can't make this shit up.
Shalom, shalom, Israelites. It's Ron Dalton Jr. here, and it's been a while since I've been on YouTube. The last video that I did, it was about UFOs are not coming for Black people. And in the beginning of the video, I made the connection between the Babylonian goddess of whoredom and the harlotry, Ishtar, and Lady Liberty. Lady Liberty, otherwise known as the United States of America. And I also made the connection between Lucifer and the light bearer, Lucifer, the light bearer that holds the torch, the light, because he's a light bearer, and Lady Liberty, aka United States of America, and show the reason why the United States of America is Mystery Babylon, and that the Statue of Liberty represents the Babylonian goddess of whoredom, and also some might also say Lucifer. And the YouTube didn't like that. Somebody didn't like it because somebody either reported to have my video taken down, because in the video I also talked about UFOs are not coming to save Black people. And I used the movie, what's the name of that movie? I forgot the name of the movie. But anyway, B'nai Israel put the movie up on his channel. And the movie was about Black people being sold, or it was a deal with the United States of America that the UFOs were coming, and that the United States had to, I guess, get rid of Black people as an agreement to the UFOs. And the Jews, I think they tried to stop it, but they were unsuccessful. And they had a timeline when they could get the Negroes on the ship. The movie was called, I think, Space Traders. That's what it was. So the people being traded was the Negro. The Negroes were being traded like cargo. And the Negroes were walking down to the beach by the water, the ocean, just like they did we did in slavery times. Walk down to the coast of the beach, Cape Coast, Amina Castle, Badagry, Goree Island, all these places, and that's where the UFOs came to take the Negroes away. Some of them tried to run away, but they got shot when they tried to run away. And I did a video debunking that theory that a lot of Israelites today are believing that the Most High is going to send his chariots. And mind you, the word for chariot in the Bible is often used with the word horse, because horses pull the chariots. And the chariots are not the UFOs. Chariots are not UFOs. We're living in the 21st century, and we got black people that are teaching that chariots are not the chariots that are pulled by the horses, but chariots are UFOs, ships. So that means that the Israelites and other ethnic groups in the Bible that also had chariots, that everybody had their own fleet of UFO ships. Because it says this in the Bible that the Israelites had chariots and they had horses. The Israelites had these things. And I put that in the video. I actually did a Zoom on it, a Zoom meeting on it. Can you imagine the Exodus story with UFOs chasing after the Israelites across the not the Red Sea, the Reed Sea, or the Sea of Reeds, or the River of Reeds? Can you imagine that the Israelites, 600,000, maybe a million, walking, leaving Egypt, and you got UFOs flying after them? Obviously, the UFOs can fly faster than people can walk. So how come the Egyptians' UFOs didn't capture and shoot down laser beams and zap people up out the sky and bring them back to Egypt? We gotta ask ourselves these questions. These are logical questions. These are using critical thinking and logic that we don't use nowadays. And YouTube took the video down because within less than days, people were saying that the video is down, Ron. And I said, "You're right, the video is down." So then I went to YouTube and I wanted to find out why was it taken down. And they said it was something in regards to maybe the Lucifer thing. I don't know. But anyway, so I disputed it. First I wasn't, but then I disputed it. And people were saying, "Ryan, this is discrimination. What did you do wrong?" And I said, most cases I didn't do anything wrong. So I disputed it, and I told YouTube in dispute, I said, a lot of the clips in my video are actually being played right now on other people's YouTube channel right now as we speak. I said, and their videos are not taken down. So this is discrimination. And I said, you'll be hearing from my lawyer, and I'll be taking legal action against YouTube. And I said in the comment of the rebuttal of the submission, I said, and this is what I said for real. I said, do you, YouTube, really want to go through this over one video? And then if I sue you guys, that the headlines will read, Ron Dalton, Hebrews to Negroes, sues YouTube or Google for whatever discrimination. I said, do you really want all that attention being placed upon myself in Hebrews to Negroes? I said, you can't feed yourself. You can't have solar solutions or water solutions because you didn't pay your property taxes because you didn't have no money, and now you lost your land and your house. So in America, you always need money. You always need money to be able to have the three basic things for human survival: food, water, shelter. That's concerning for me. I mean, I've been saying this for years, but people just don't get it. And they know that in the villages and in a lot of the lands outside of the major cities in Africa, the people there got land, hectares upon hectares of land. They got fruit trees growing. They got all types of veggies growing, livestock, and you ask them, "Hey, are you guys paying any property taxes on your land out here, way out here in the wilderness?" "Nah, man, we pay no property taxes. This is our land. This is our land. It's our family land. You know, it's been here. It's been here before the white man got here. We don't pay no taxes on us. Nobody's going to take our land from us, saying we're sending a bailiff to come evict you guys off your 50 hectares of land, which is basically 100 acres of land." This is what the people are telling me out here, out their own mouth, and they're actually from the country. And I put these videos on h2mtv.com. I put the videos on h2mtv.com for you guys to see and see the truth. We actually visited a guy's land a week or two ago, and the guy had a lot of acres of land, and he had oranges, he had bananas, he had figs, he had avocados. He did have 100 sheep or more at the time, but he sold it. He was kind of old guy, couldn't manage the farm anymore. He had chickens, roosters. We drove through the land. We seen some cows or some horses, you know, and the guy had like 4 boreholes, and the water was coming out the boreholes, and he had this big container that had water in it, and the container was being filled constantly with water. And I said, "Where is this water coming from? Is this nonstop water just flowing into this container?" And he said, "Oh, it's from the boreholes, from underneath the ground." I said, "Do y'all pay for this water?" He said, "No." He said, "This water is coming from the ground, from the earth. It's on my land. It's free." I said, "Wow, you guys got free water?" And he was like, "Yep." I said, "If you want to eat, just go pick a banana or orange or whatever and eat it." He said, "Yeah." I said, "If your chickens are laying eggs, or if you're just hungry and want some chicken, you just get the chicken and you just kill it." I said, "Yeah." And I said, "So you really don't have to go to the city unless you really, if you need to?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Ain't nobody coming out here to do anything to us." I said, "We're 3 to 4 hours away outside of the city, and it's not that easy to get out here. You got to have directions." And he was telling us that, he doesn't pay any property taxes. And because we asked him, and he said, "What's that?" And I said, "This is what property taxes is in America." And he said, "Oh, no, nope." And I said, "Wow." And they had like a little community. It was like other people out there that had land too, adjacent land. And they would drive by in their trucks and Jeeps and pickup trucks, be waving, and I was like, "Wow, man, this is crazy." But anyway, one of the things I want to tell you guys is that we're doing a lot of research, and it's starting to concern me because, I'm looking at the Bible, and I'm seeing a lot of things that the Greeks, they slipped up on. They messed up. They were sloppy in their translation. And, you read how King Solomon had a fleet of ships docked at Ezion Geber off the Red Sea. And I said, let me look and see what this Red Sea is about. And I'm thinking I'm going to see Yam Adam, because red is Adam in Hebrew, and I don't see Yam Saddam or Yam Adam, because Yam means sea or a large body of water, like a large lake or a large river. I see the words Yam Suf, and Suf, the Hebrew word Suf, S-U-P-H, means reeds, papyrus reeds. So this is the river or sea or lake of reeds, because that's what Yam can mean. I said, well, if King Solomon had a fleet of ships off the Nile River, or maybe Lake Victoria, then that would place the land of Canaan or Israel in Africa. I said, wait a minute here. I said, why doesn't it say Yam Adam? Because Adam means red. Means red. Come on now. Greeks, we're not that stupid. So anyway, it says that King Solomon every 3 years, him and King Hiram of Tyre, they would come and to Ophir, or whatever you want to call it, and they would, make a little trip, and they would go and they would get peacocks, apes, ivory, gold, silver, and amongst other things. And I said, well, wait, well, let's analyze this now. So King Solomon would get some ships on the Sea of Reeds, or the Nile River, or Lake Victoria, and he would go to get apes. Now, there's big apes and little apes, which are all found in Africa, because big apes and little apes are found in Africa. You might have orangutans and baboons in India, but there's no gorillas in India. And I don't think King Solomon was traveling on, ships of their kind back in the old days to go all the way to India to get some apes. And then I said, what about ivory? Ivory, you get the ivory from an elephant tusk. And I said, well, where are the majority of elephants today? And the majority of elephants today are in Africa. In India, it's only like less than 50,000 elephants in India. And I said, most of the elephants are seen today within the territory of the Congo, because you have forest elephants, Angola, Tanzania, Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, because they have the most, South Africa. So you see where the elephants are located at. They're located in Central Africa, going down into the south. It's somewhere in West Africa, but not a lot. And I said, well, you got to have elephants to get ivory. And so if they would flee ships off the Nile River, then it makes sense that they would traverse and make that trek to going to a place where the elephants are to get the ivory tusk. The tusk to get the ivory. And then I said, what about the silver and the gold? I said, is there a lot of silver mines and gold mines in Israel? And the answer is no. Is there a lot of silver mines in India? India has a whole lot of silver mines. India imports more silver than it exports. So I said, that's out of the question. Because you got to have these things all in the same place. I don't think King Solomon was thinking, multiple stops in different areas of the world just to get these things, like he was on a treasure hunt. So then I said, what about the peacock? The peacock. And I said, well, they have 3 species of peacock, what they call them peafowl. And they're in Asia and they're in Africa. You have the Congo peacock with the Congo peafowl. And the tail is not as long as the others, but it still can bloom out its tail, and it looks like a peacock. And it's native to the Congo. But I've seen peacocks here in South Africa just walking around. And I'm like, it's a peacock. I was driving one day with the Uber. I said, it's a peacock. There's peacocks over there. They said, yeah, Ron, they're here in South Africa. I said, what? I said, that's like in the Bible. I said, man, you can make this stuff up. Then you start to ask yourself, well, it says that King Solomon, a lot of the instruments and things of the temple were burnished bronze. And so bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. It says in the Bible that the land of Canaan will be fat and abundant, vast, wide, spacious, and that the Israelites will not have to want for anything in that land. I mean, that land will have everything they need. And it says that the land will have iron ore, and the hills or the mountains, which in Hebrew is har, will have copper. And I said to myself, I said, a land that is spacious, large, fat, vast, extensive, because in the Hebrew, there's a word for what we see in our English Bible as large, spacious. There's a Hebrew word for it. If you look it up, you'll see that it means vast, large, wide, spacious. And you say, well, Israel is the size of New Jersey. New Jersey has about 9 million people. Israel has about 9 million people. What's going on here? I said, how long does it take to walk from Ashkelon or the Gaza Strip to Amman, Jordan, or just Jordan, period, the Jordan border? When I Googled it, it said about a day's walk. About a day's walk, you can walk from the Mediterranean Sea all the way to Jordan. You done crossed the whole land of Canaan, aka Israel, in one day's foot journey. And I said, okay, well, that's not wide, that's not fat, large, extensive, spacious. And I said, well, what about from the moment of Israel to Tyre or Beirut, Lebanon? And it said 4 days time. 4 days time walking it takes to walk from Dimona, Israel to Beirut, Lebanon. And I said, wow. I said, this is not a big land. God took us out of the land of Egypt, which is large, but it ain't larger than the Congo, and it ain't larger than Ethiopia. And he took us and said, I'm gonna give you Israelites a good land, a large land, spacious land, a land where you won't have to want for anything. It's gonna have everything there. A land where you can mine the copper out of the hills and mountains. You can have iron. And I said, well, where are they mining copper and iron and tin? Are they doing this in Israel? And I started doing my research because that's what I do. I like to use critical thinking and logic. I like to use my brain, because people ain't using it today. And I said, Israel is not mining for tin. They're not mining for copper. They're not mining for iron ore. These are not the majority of raw materials that they are mining. I said the country that has the most raw materials in the world is the Congo. Yeah, it's like I think they estimate it to be $25 trillion worth of raw materials in terms of minerals. And I said, are they mining? Is there tin in the mountains of Congo? Yes, there is. Is there iron in Congo? Yes, there is. Is there copper in the Congo? Yes, there is. You need copper and tin to have bronze. Is there silver and gold in the Congo and Central African region? Yes, it is. Is there silver mining going on in different parts of Africa, the land of Canaan, such as South Africa? Yes, there is. So when the other nations come to seek to spoil the Israelites in Ezekiel 38 of their silver and their gold, they're coming to extract the silver and gold from the Israelites' land, the land of Canaan. They're not coming to say, take off your gold bracelet, take off your gold ring, take that gold cap out your teeth, take that gold necklace off your neck, take that gold earring out of your ears. They're not coming to do that. And they're not going to come to America or any place where there's Bantu, Negro, Israelites, Black Israelites and say, hey, where's your gold vault? We want all your gold bars right now. We want it all, silver and gold. No, they don't have it. We don't have it. And they sure ain't coming to say to do a shakedown.
So they're coming for the silver and gold that's in the land of Canaan, in the land of the Israelites.
Okay, it's like the brother said that he's doing critical thinking like a Hebrew. So that's starting to escalate too, just like what he was just talking about the land of Canaan. But I want to show you right here, right quick, that it ain't nothing new under the sun. He did the same thing when they got ready to leave Egypt. He started imposing his spirit upon a lot of Israelites, waking them up for them to be in the right place at the right time. So I mean, that's right quick. Give you an example. Ezra. This one they was in the Babylonian captivity, and the time that came for them to leave Babylon, Jeremiah told them they was going to be there for 70 years, right? So we pick it up in, I started verse 1. It says, now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom and put it in writing, saying, thus says Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven have given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and have charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Judea. Who is there among you of all his people? His God be with him. Let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judea, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourned, let the men of his place help him with silver and with gold and with goods and with beasts, and besides a free will offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem. And here we go right here. Verse 5. This is Ezra chapter 1, verse 5. Then rose up the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin and the priest. That's the head of the tribe of Israel. Judah, Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, and all them whose spirit God had raised to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. And all they that were about them strengthened their hands with vessels of silver and with gold, with goods and beasts and precious stones, besides all that was willingly offered. So we see right here doing the same thing now. He pouring out his spirit on certain Israelites and waking them up, and they starting to do. They starting to assess stuff with the right mindset, the right spirit, and they going forward from there. But it's the Creator that's behind it. And like I said, there's nothing new that's under the sun that he's doing. Okay. So, like I said, I'm gonna put these videos on that I'm playing. I'm putting them on Messenger. But anybody got any comments on it, on anything that I've been talking about? Anybody got any comments on it? Okay, so my point is this: is that we see all this stuff unfolding, but the final nail that's in the coffin is what I've been screaming for the last 20-something years, is that he said that in the latter days we had to return back to him and admit our sins and return to him. That's the most important thing. And we have to figure out, we got to understand that if they caused us not to know who we are, they caused us not to know who our God was that was over us. And so I want to shine a light on that right quick. If you go to in Deuteronomy, we see the curses in Deuteronomy. In Deuteronomy chapter 28, it ends with chapter 68, verse 68. Deuteronomy 28, 68 says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, and by the way well unto thee thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold to your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? You see a lot of brothers, Israelites, they go to these verses right here, Deuteronomy 28, to identify who we are. But I want to shine a light on that, which is good. But if you go to Leviticus, the same thing, same curses that's in Deuteronomy is in Leviticus, but it's got something else in there. So it says in Deuteronomy 26, same thing that's in in 28, Deuteronomy 28 is in Leviticus 26, the blessings and the curses. Okay, so I'm at the end of 26, and I'm starting at verse 37. And then he says, give us stipulation, and they shall fall one upon another, as it were before a sword, and when none pursueth, he shall have no power to stand before your enemies, and ye shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat you up, and they that are left, getting down to us, the end where we are right now, and they that are left of you shall pine away in their iniquity, in their iniquity in your enemy's land. That's where we at. And also in the iniquity of their fathers, they shall pine away. So with our iniquity and the iniquity of our fathers, we're going to pine away. And 40, if they shall confess, here we go. This is why it's so important to know who it is that our God is. 40. And if they shall confess their iniquity, right? So we're going to see in a minute, I'm going to go to a precept and see who's in charge of this iniquity. Say, if they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers, with their trespass and which they trespass against me, we're going to see what this me is. That also they have walked contrary unto me, and that I also have walked contrary unto them, and I have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humble, and they accept of the punishment of their iniquity, then will I remember my covenant. See that? We're going to see who got the covenant. Then will I remember my covenant with Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and also my covenant with Abraham will I remember, and I will remember the land. So right now, he ain't doing that. That's the reason why we went through all this drama over the last 400 some years, 2,500 years, especially the last 400. 43, the land also shall be left of them, and shall enjoy her Sabbaths, while she lieth desolate without them, and they shall accept the punishment of their iniquity, because they despise my judgments, and because of their souls abhor my statutes. And yet, for all that, when they be in the land of their enemies, here we go, I will not cast them away, neither will I abhor them, to destroy them utterly, and to break my covenant with them, for I am the Lord their God. But I will for their sake remember the covenant of their ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom I brought forth. See that? So we're going to see who brought them out of Egypt, who they got the covenant with, right? It says, whom I brought forth out of Egypt in the sight of all the heathens, that I may be their God. I am the Lord. These are the statutes and the judgments and the laws which the Lord made between him and the children of Israel in Mount Sinai by the hand of Moses. So if you go to Exodus chapter 23, right quick, all this get answered. 2 precepts. 23 says, this Yahweh on Mount Sinai, he's talking to Moses. 23 and 20, he says, behold, I send an angel before thee to keep thee in the way, and I will bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, obey his voice. And it says, this Yahweh talking to Moses, provoke him not. He said, don't provoke this angel that's over you. He will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. So this is who we sinning against. He's overseeing. He overseeing it. Transgression and iniquity is one and the same. It's sin. This angel overseeing right here, and the Most High name in him. But if thou shalt not indeed obey his voice, the angel voice, that's what Deuteronomy chapter 28 said. Let me go to it. I got a few minutes. So you go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, you're going to see it. It says, verse 15, when the curses start. Deuteronomy 28 and 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee. So who voice they listening to? Precept upon precept. Exodus 23 and 22 says, But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, this angel that he sent over them, that he got over Israel, and do all that I speak, then will I be an enemy unto thy enemies and an adversary unto thine adversary. For my angel shall go before thee to bring thee into the Amorites and Hittites, to bring them into the land of Canaan. So we see right there who it is that that's over the Israelites. And now he mentioned in Leviticus 26 that he gonna remember his covenant that he got with them, right? So let's go to Judges. See who got the covenant. Judges chapter 2. And the angel of the Lord came up. It's not Yahweh. The angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Beckham and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt, right? This takes us right to Exodus 26. Leviticus 26. I made you to go up out of Egypt, and I have brought you into the land which I swore unto your fathers, and I said, I will not break my covenant with you. So we see who got the covenant right here. And this who gave them the law, statutes, and the covenant, and the laws of Moses and all that. This angel right here, the Lord of hosts. So, in closing, go to Isaiah right quick. And we'll see what's going on. So, if you're overseeing, then you're the Redeemer. The Redeemer's overseeing. The Redeemer deals with sin. So, Isaiah 44, it says, Isaiah 44 says in 6, thus says the Lord, the King of Israel, and his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. I am the first and I am the last. Besides me, there's no God. So we're telling you right here, you got a Redeemer. It's him, the Creator Yahweh, and his Redeemer. And his Redeemer, the Lord of hosts. So the Lord of hosts is the Redeemer. The Lord of hosts is the one that is over Israel. That's why he continues to keep saying over and over again, I am Lord. But like the brother was just saying, we in these last days and we're starting to rightly divide this and how they hoodwink words. You know, it says Lord of hosts, but it was Lord of hosts was there because that's who over Israel. It's obvious now who that is that's over Israel. It ain't Yahweh. Yahweh can't inherit anything. You can't own everything and then receive an inheritance. If you own everything, you can't receive no inheritance. The person that got Israel received Israel as an inheritance. Israel was given to them. And we see that in Exodus 23 and 20. The Most High said he gave Israel over to this angel and told them to obey him. And everything that he do. When he's speaking to you, he's speaking for me. He's speaking through me. But he's over you. He's the El. He's a strong one. It's a strong one over Israel. Okay, so I said I showed you all that to show you that that's the final dagger that has to happen. We have to return back to our strong one that's over us. That's the like I say, that's the last nail that's in the coffin. And that's what we coming to now. It's coming to a head now. And all the stuff you see happening is, like he said, we returning to him. We find out who we are, starting to begin to think like Hebrews, and we turning back to him, and so he's turning back to us. And the reason we had all the drama going on because of what he said in Leviticus. We turned from him and was walking contrary to him, so he walked contrary to us. That's why everything was going the way it was going, but that's not happening now. He got a remnant, like he said, there's a remnant that's left, is going to turn to him. He's poured his spirit out on them. They're going to turn to him, which is going to cause him to turn back to us. Okay? Anybody got any comments before we go? Okay. So, like I was saying, it's mandatory that, you started preparing yourself because you're looking at all the stuff. I can't keep saying it too many times, but you got to, you know, when the time came for them to leave Egypt, I'm quite sure they had substance when they was in Egypt. Some of the Israelites had substance, but a lot of that stuff had to be, you know, at the spur of the moment. They had to cough it up. They had to go. That's where we are right now. They got you thinking that all these other events got to happen, but they ain't have to happen. You know, the tribulation, Jacob's trouble started when we was kicked out of the land. We at the end of Jacob's trouble. Okay, so with that, I want to say shalom, shalom, and another shalom, and appreciate everybody coming. You know, it's always good to have a good conversation with some Israelites. Shalom.
Shalom.